Hello everyone, Storm 101 here. Today we'll be talking about a big storm system that will be coming in into the central U.S., bringing in multiple issues across portions of the central and eastern U.S. It could certainly bring a blizzard, bringing in feet of snow over portions of North Dakota, South Dakota, even the portions of Montana and northeastern Wyoming. It could also bring some fire weather problems over portions of Colorado, New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, maybe even up into portions of Nebraska as well. And of course, it's going to bring in what's more likely looking to be a major severe weather outbreak. And it's going to be covering multiple states over portions of the central and also for portions of the eastern U.S. as well. Before we get started this video, if you guys like weather related content, you can subscribe to my channel. We do this stuff here all the time on this channel. Plus, we'll be having more updates on this storm system over the next couple of days, so definitely stay tuned for more updates as well. So we're going to get started with the watch warning advisory display, and it is very active out there, especially in the western U.S. We got a mix of winter weather and wind issues as well. Our system is going to be coming on shore later tonight and be going through the Rockies as well. And it's going to be a big trough coming along with it as well. And then again, it's going to bring a lot of wind and also a lot of winter weather with it as well. Fire weather issues do continue over portions of the plains, even back into portions of the Four Corner states as well. We also got some wind issues over portions of the Texarkana region, up into portions of the Mississippi River Valley as well. Beyond the eastern U.S., generally mostly quiet, except for frost advisories over portions of the Mid-Atlantic as well. That should be the last of the frost advisory for a little bit for those folks, as well as warmer air will be returning. This is the storm prediction outlook here for today. We do have a slight risk for severe weather over portions of northern Oklahoma, southeastern Kansas, far northwestern Arkansas, and for most, well, not for most, but such portions of central and southern Missouri as well. There is a low end tornado risk, 2%. It's very low risk, but it's not zero. But damage winds and hail look to be the primary threats for later tonight. I don't think tonight's going to be a big severe weather event. Just definitely got to watch for the possibility for some damage winds and some hail. Then on day two, which is tomorrow, tomorrow's looking to be a little bit more of an interesting day, which they still have a slight risk for severe weather from really for the Dallas and Fort Worth area through to Texarkana, most of Arkansas, and it does go all the way up into southwestern Kentucky as well. There is an elevated tornado risk out there, and there's also the possibility for hail and also damage winds. And for the hail side of things, there may be the possibility for some significant hail as well. There's going to be some strong updrafts with some of these storms as well, and that could lead to some significant hail. Honestly, it would not surprise me if we may see an enhanced risk upgrade here, especially over portions of Arkansas as well. And I think it's going to be mainly tornado and hail driven as well. Especially given the fact we got very strong updrafts that could occur, so that could lead to a lot of hail. And there's also a decent amount of wind shear to work with that can increase the tornado threat as well. And there's also that possibility for supercells as well. And then later down the road, further to the northeast, there could be some flooding problems over portions of the lower Ohio Valley as well. And then on day three, which is Tuesday, this is going to be the beginning of a severe weather outbreak more than likely. And we got an enhanced risk for severe weather over southwestern Iowa, far southeastern Nebraska, western Missouri, eastern Kansas, east central Oklahoma, and even going down as far south as the Dallas and Fort Worth area as well. There is still some uncertainty here when it comes to Tuesday setup period. Really, that's what's known as a cap, because if the cap is underestimated, it could, for some areas anyway, it may bust. Because what a cap does, it prevents showers and thunderstorms from developing, or in other words, it's basically a warm air loft in the upper levels, and it's almost kind of like a brick wall. Showers and thunderstorms cannot form through it. If we do underestimate the cap, not a whole lot may not happen. But if we move into Wednesday, on the other hand, not so much. In fact, there's not really going to be much of a cap when it goes into Wednesday here. Wednesday, in my opinion, is likely to be the biggest day out of the rest here, which we got a very large area. We got a massive enhanced risk. I mean, that's probably one of the biggest enhanced risk on the day 4 outlook I've ever seen, and that goes the same way, just the entire risk area in general. I mean, it goes as far south as the Gulf Coast, and it goes as far north as southeastern Minnesota and several Wisconsin as well. So it's a massive area, or in other words, it goes as far west as pretty close to the Dallas and Fort Worth area, but it can't go as far east as close to Knoxville, Tennessee, or northwestern Georgia as well, or Chattanooga, Tennessee as well. So the risk area overall is massive here, and it would not surprise me at all if we see a or well, not tornado outbreak, but a big severe weather outbreak over some of these areas in here as well. And it's definitely a very concerning day, and it's definitely something to really watch for over the next couple of days as well. But let's get started for tonight's event here. And then again, like I said earlier, it's not going to be a big event here. We'll have thunderstorms that develop along a boundary, and there could be some decent updrafts out there which could lead to a hail threat, but when they kind of fall apart a little bit, that could lead to some stronger downdraft winds or outflow winds as well for some of these storms. So that's where your damage wind and hail threat will come from. And there's just a little bit of wind shear out there, and that could possibly lead to a low-end tornado risk as well. I don't think it's going to be a big deal here. What's interesting from the HRML, it's got a pretty decent cluster of thunderstorms moving over southern Missouri at that time as well. And that could, if that's correct, you may see damage winds out of it as well. But it does weaken as you get deeper into the morning hours as well. And then when we move on to Monday, you can see here over Arkansas here, we get big thunderstorms that develop over a good chunk of Arkansas. Those will be the ones that may have the possibility for some significant hail, tornadoes, and also damaging winds as well. And it's definitely a day to really watch for as well. And you also notice as you do look a little bit further to the northeast here, if you have not been paying attention, over parts of Kentucky, southern Indiana, or southern Illinois, we are seeing multiple rounds of showers and thunderstorms as well. And that could possibly lead to flooding problems, which, I mean, here in central Kentucky, we can actually use a little bit of rain as well. But this might be a little bit too much for us. So there could be a low-end flood risk over some of these areas as well. HRML's been consistent of showing that possibility as well. If we do check out some other things here, like if we check out instability before those storms do initiate, if we check out surface-based CAPE here, you notice here there's a lot of instability going on here. As you can see here, you got generally 2,000 to 3,000 joules per kilogram of instability over southeastern Oklahoma, western Arkansas, and that could go down to portions of Texas and Louisiana as well. And I don't think there's much of anything else to kind of look in here. I guess we could check out dew points if we want to. It's another severe weather ingredient. How much moisture we got here with this setup here. And you know what? We got plenty of moisture out there as well. Dew points generally at 60 or above can be favorable for severe weather as well. That's good for thunderstorm activity as well. If we check out the updraft helicity swaths here, and this indicates the possibility for rotating thunderstorms as well. A really higher the number, stronger the circulations could be. And you can see here over portions of Arkansas, there are some pretty high storage helicity swaths out there, which indicates the possibility for some strong rotating thunderstorms as well. And some of these circulations can be strong as well, and that can lead to your tornado threat as well. So it's definitely something you really need to keep an eye on very closely as well. And here's another way to kind of look into the tornado potential. This is the significant tornado parameters. Really, generally over a 1, that could be favorable for tornadoes, but over a 2, that could be favorable for stronger tornadoes. And you can see here, there are numbers out there that's a little bit higher than a 2. But if we do get a sounding out there in some of the areas before the storms do initiate, you can see here there is a pretty decent hodograph out there. Now, we're a little bit earlier in the day here, so wind shear hasn't really kicked in a whole lot just yet. but there is wind direction of high here going on here. You can see at the surface here, you got winds pretty much out of the south here. But when you get up to 850 millibars, winds are from the southwest, and then 700 millibars or up to 500 millibars, it's about due west as well. So there is wind direction of height going on here. Storage velocity values are favorable for tornadoes as well, and even the hodograph itself is favorable as well. If we check out some of the other ingredients like instability will likely be kind of on the moderate side of things. Like we said earlier, instability values will likely generally be 2 to 3,000 joules per kilogram. And there's also strong mid-level average out there as well, which can lead to strong updrafts as well. That's where you get your significant hail threat from. And also, downdraft cape is pretty elevated as well, which could be favorable for damaging winds as well. You also do notice here in the mid levels here, if you look into the CQT, our temperature line or the dew point line, the temperature line is the red line and the dew point line is the green line. They're a little bit farther apart here, so there's a little bit of dry air in the mid levels, and that could lead to a more discrete mode as well. So really, by looking at this down here, overall conditions can be favorable for tornadoes. And like I said here, this is a little bit earlier in the day here, and wind shear values are expected to increase later night. So there is that low end risk for some stronger tornadoes as well. And then again, that's a lower end risk. But I'll definitely pay attention to that hail threat because when these storms first initiate, they're going to have some pretty strong updrafts as well. And that can lead to some significant hail as well, especially you get further to the southwest where there's greater instability values. And you also got damaged winds in there as well. So really, if you live over portions of Arkansas, even for eastern Oklahoma, southern Missouri, into northeastern Texas, and even for some areas a little bit further to northeast, definitely pay attention to the severe weather risk tomorrow as well. Don't focus too much for right now on Tuesdays into Wednesday setup here because you got this setup here coming up first before the big setup comes in as well. So this is definitely something to really watch for as well. And you can see here as we get into the overnight hours, no significant torque parameters do back off as well. And then here's getting close to peak time heating. Your significant torque parameter values do begin to go up as well, which leads us to Tuesday's setup. And we're going to check out the NAM for Tuesday's setup. And we're going to look at 500 millibar winds. So here comes our big system here. This is the one that's going to bring in wind and winter weather issues for the western U.S. And it's a big bowling ball type of system as well. And here you go to about peak time heating on Tuesday here. You got a lot of divergence going on here, which can lead to a lot of lift in some of the storms as well. There's also going to be some thunderstorm activity over portions of Texas and Louisiana. You do notice here there is an area here of some stronger upper level winds as well, which could lead to some thunderstorms down there as well. And there may be the possibility where if this forms here a little bit earlier on, it could be as a roadblock here for some of this moisture here to get a little bit further north here. But I think for a setup like this, I don't think it's going to do a whole lot as well because instability values, especially along the dry line, it's going to be pretty high as well. We're talking about instability values anywhere from 3 to 4,000 joules per kilogram, which is pretty high for this time of year. We'll check that out in a little bit. But you can see here with this big trough here as well. Well, let's actually not get any further here. Let's just look into Tuesday first. So if we back this up here to about peak time heating here, so then again, lots of divergence out here. Our low will be getting added together here over portions of Colorado and Nebraska at around that same time frame as well. If you do check out moisture here, at least when it comes to dew points at the surface as well, you can see here there are some pretty favorable dew points out there as well. Generally up above the 60 can be good for thunderstorms as well. And you can see here how widespread this is as well. And then again, here's our low situated out here. Now there's a possibility for a triple point setup here. You got a warm front that sets up out here, your dry line as well. And I think there'll be some type of occluded front here as well, somewhere in eastern Nebraska as well. And that can lead to a triple point setup here. That's where we can see a decent amount of wind shear out there as well, which if we do check out 850 millibar winds at the same time, we do have a pretty strong level jet over the area as well, generally between 55 to 65 knot winds as well. And then you move to instability, surface-based cape. You notice that there is some sign in out there, which indicates a possibility for some capping out there as well. And that's a big concern that we have with this setup here is the cap here. Because if the cap is stronger than expected, we may not see a whole lot happen here. Like I said earlier in the video, what a cap is, it's a warm air loft. It's kind of like a brick wall for showers and thunderstorms, and they can't really form through that cap as well. The cap may be a little bit weaker, closer to the dry line, which is about right here as well. And you can see here, just out ahead of the dry line here, we got a lot of instability going on out here as well. So you do have that going on there as well. If we do check out the supercell composite, numbers are way up there. I mean, they're on the higher end of the scale. Got as high as 17 in some places. If we go to about kind of near the triple point, we'll get a couple soundings out here. And a couple of these sounds here may show that cap of what I'm talking about. Which this one here actually does show it. There are some models that show weaker caps, some of them do have a stronger cap, and that's really the main absurdity we got here. Which you can see here, this is what a cap is. Here's your instability line, and here's your temperature line. And when they cross over from each other, that's a cap. Thunderstorms cannot form for that cap as well. But if the cap were not be there, let's check out some of the other ingredients. You got a lot of wind shear, storage felicity values above 300. You got wind direction of height here, especially in the lower levels as well. Plenty of instability. Instability values 2,000 plus. Downdraft cape is favorable. Strong mid-level lap rates as well. Given all this said here, if this cap were to be broken, you could see significant severe weather, even the possibility for supercells. Supercells that can produce significant hail, damage winds. Some of it could be significant as well. And also tornadoes. And some of those can be strong as well, because wind shear in this environment is strong as well. If we get a little bit further south here, like southern Kansas, the numbers do slowly back off here, but even in this area here, still can be favorable for some severe weather as well, which you can see here. The cap is there, but it's slightly weaker here than a little bit further north. And you can see here how our photograph does show up on here as well. But the difference here with this environment here in particular here than a little bit further north is that we got more instability. Surface-based cape is 3,200. There's still a lot of storage felicity values up there. You also got wind direction of height. Downdraft cape is up to 1,400. Strong mid-level lap rates. So if the cap were to break in this environment here, it'll be very similar. Chance for very large hail, damage winds, and also for tornadoes. Some of those can be strong as well. So this is a very volatile atmosphere, but it all depends on the cap, because if it stays capped through most of the time frame, not a whole lot may happen, which could be a good thing, because if we do not have a cap for this setup here, it can certainly lead to a lot of trouble as well. And you can see here, as we do get deeper to the overnight hours, the instability values do back off. But really at this point here, at around this point here, I should say, which, hold on, let me wait for these numbers here to update here, since it was back on the last frame. So, usually the cap does erode as you do get into the overnight hours as well. And we'll see if it happens here from the NAM. And looks like for the NAM here, it doesn't really back off a whole lot. But what I do see here, though, is very strong mid-level lap rates. I mean, anytime we get over a 9, I mean, those lap rates are very strong in the mid-levels. And that can lead to some very strong updrafts as well. And then again, if this cap were not to be here, still got plenty of instability. Downdraft cape is there. Plenty of wind shear as well. You got wind direction of height. Decent photograph as well. So then again, if this cap were not to be here, you could be talking about significant severe weather going on here. And as we get further to the south here, you see here there's some pretty elevated numbers out here as you get further to the south here. It's not just up here. You also got areas farther to the south here as well, over portions of the Severn Plains. If we go to central Oklahoma, and this is where we then again get into the overnight hours as well. And you can see here, similar situation here, strong capping here, but then again, I've seen other models out there that shows a weaker cap than the name here. The name could be a little bit overdone with the cap there, but you never know. That's still a possibility. So just to keep in mind that as well. There's some models that show a weaker cap, some other models got a stronger cap. So, and the NAM is one of the stronger cap ones as well. So you better hope this cap, if you do not want severe weather, you got to hope this cap here stays in place here. But then again, even with a cap here, you still got a lot of wind shear, plenty of instability. I mean, well, pretty much everything is here for a big severe weather outbreak. It just all depends on the cap that is in place as well. So the NAM pretty much suggests here that a cap may stay or maybe stick around throughout, maybe at least for most of the event for Tuesday. But as we do get into Wednesday here, this is peak time heating on Wednesday. Check this out here. It's got elevated superset composite numbers as far north as northern Wisconsin. Isn't that pretty interesting or not? And you can see here, and it does get as far south as the Gulf Coast. So there's a lot of real estate that's involved in here. But then again, Arkansas again, the possibility for some significant severe weather. I mean, you got Monday, and now you got Wednesday. And you can see here from the NAM model, we don't have a cap here at all here. But this is something that could be a limiting factor here. It's that the elevated mix layer here, well, maybe not necessarily the elevated mix layer here, but in the mid-levels, the dry air is not very strong here. And if it does trend a little bit weaker, we might see a more messy mode, which may help keep the severe weather probabilities a little bit lower. But then again, if the name is correct here, you can see discrete cells out ahead of cold front, and that could lead to the possibility for supercells that could potentially produce large hail, damage winds, and also tornadoes. Some of those may be strong as well, which storing to velocity values from the NAM model here, it's not terribly strong here. Postal hodograph is a little bit more suppressed as well, so they may help decrease the tornado probabilities just a little bit. But regardless here, as you get deeper to the overnight hours, those wind shear values do begin to ramp up as well, so I don't think it really matters a whole lot there. Also, you got a lot of instability. Downdraft Cape, not as elevated, but still it could be favorable for damage winds. And lap rates is there as well. So this sounding here is favorable for all hazards as well. And if we go a little bit further north here, if we go to Severn, Illinois, check out, see what's going on further up north. You can see here what I'm talking about here as we get closer to the overnight hours. You notice here, and you know what, it happens the same way here. As you get further north, the not only, or let me try to rephrase that again. As you get further north here, wind shear values do increase here, which you can see here, but you're also getting closer to the overnight hours at the same time as well. Something I also do notice here is that we don't have much way of dry air in the mid-levels here, but that can also help with the linear mode as well at the same time here, because there's a possibility there, because if it could stay this way here, yes, we may see storms form out ahead of the front, but you also got to keep in mind, you still got that big squall line that could roll through as well along the cold front as well. So give a by the sound here, this could favor a big time squall line event. You got strong wind shear. I mean, those storage velocity values are pretty high, and those are favorable for a big time squall line. Hodograph is pretty good. Plenty of instability. Lap rates are strong as well. Downdraft Cape is not very elevated, but still could be favorable for damage winds. But you also do have stronger upper level winds at the same time as well, which can help with some of these storms that can pull down some of the wind energy in the upper levels down to the surface. So, given that said here, This could be favorable for damaging winds, especially along the squall line. Some of the damaging winds can be significant. Tornadoes, some of those can be strong as well. That also includes the possibility for QLCS tornadoes. And also hail as well. I think the better opportunity for large hail will be some of the storms out ahead of the main squall line as well. Let's kind of backtrack a little bit here and kind of go back to peak time heating on Wednesday here. Check out some of the other stuff here, like the low level jet. You can see here, still got a pretty strong low level jet over the area as well. And this is kind of wind energy I'm talking about here. You got a lot of wind energy in the upper levels as well. And some of these storms here along the squall line here, which you could actually see them right here. And that could easily get extended further to the south as well. It's able to pull some of these stronger winds down to the surface as well. And that's where you kind of get your damage wind threat from. And you also do notice here, this is a massive warm sector as well. Covers multiple states as well. And when it comes to dew points, 60 plus dew points gets as far north as eastern Wisconsin, even for portions of Michigan. That's pretty impressive, if you ask me. And we also talk about instability values. Look at that over Arkansas. 3,000 plus joules per kilogram of CAPE. There's even an area of 1 to 2,000 joules per kilogram in eastern Wisconsin as well. That could be favorable for severe weather up there as well. There's a capping issue out in the warm sector here, and we'll have to wait and see if there's how much cloud cover we see out here, because that could lead to a potential more unstable environment here, and that could lead to a better severe weather threat into the overnight hours as well. Which you can see here, as we do get into the overnight hours, those instability values do begin to back off here, but some of these instability values here, like if it's still like 300 plus, it can still be favorable for severe weather. Because if you look into the LOVA jet at the same time frame, the LOVA jet's indicated by the NAMO, it's 70 knot plus. So you got strong wind shear going on out there as well. If we go back to the superset composite here, still got some pretty good numbers down to Mississippi. So the severe weather threat could certainly still continue into the overnight hours Wednesday night as well. And it could certainly get extended all the way up into portions of Ohio and Indiana, maybe up to portions of Michigan as well. And that really depends on how much instability you can see left, which you can see here in northern Mississippi. You got a pretty good photograph, plenty of wind shear going on here. You do have some dry air in the mid-levels here, which could lead to a more discrete mode as well, so you could possibly still see supercells out there. And you still got some instability left as well. And lap rates are not too bad either. But you also got elevated downdraft CAPE values as well. So this sounding will be favorable for all hazards, including the possibility for stronger tornadoes. And this is the sounding up in portions of Kentucky here, which you can see where I'm talking about here. Now, there's not a whole lot of instability here, but check out how much wind shear is out here. Storage velocity values are 600 plus out there. So it really gets to show you how much wind shear is out there as well. And also with the saturated column here, this really helps with the linear mode as well here. But then again here, not a whole lot of instability indicated by NAMO. So it all really depends on how much instability is left here. Because if we still see a lot of instability left up further north, the squall can certainly go in deeper into the overnight hours as well. And it can also expand the severe weather risk farther to the east as well. So it's definitely something to really pay attention to as well. And there is some uncertainty here as we do get into Thursday as well. But some also do indicate the possibility for some instability over portions of the Mid-Atlantic and portions of the Carolinas. I think the uncertainty is how much winter could we see out of that as well. So really overall, when it comes to the severe weather side of things, definitely stay weather aware, especially when it comes to Tuesday and Wednesday. If you live back in the store predictor outlook here, if you live in the 50%, 30%, or even just outside the 50% area, pay attention to forecasts closely because the potential is there. This could really turn out to be a significant event. Same way back to day 3, which is Tuesday. Even if you're in a marginal risk, definitely keep an eye on the forecast as well. especially if you live in the enhanced risk area and even portions of the slight risk as well. Definitely pay attention to the forecast as well. Then again, this could certainly turn out to be a pretty significant event here. Probably one of the biggest events that we probably have so far this year as well. Not only does this appear will bring big severe weather, it can also bring a big blizzard over portions of Montana, North Dakota, maybe in the portions of South Dakota. Now, some of these amounts are likely to be overdone here, but the NAM suggests a significant amount of snow here. I mean that. I mean, you're looking at close to 4 feet of snow from the NAM model. That's just insane amount of snow here. Likely going to be overdone here, but even checking out some of the National Weather Service forecast, they are predicting snowfall amounts to be up to 2 feet as well. And that's a high confidence forecast as well. So if you do live over portions of North Dakota, even back in the portions of Montana, you could be talking about a pretty brutal blizzard here as well. Those winds are likely to be pretty strong out there as well. And this could last for a good amount of time as well. And definitely be prepared for a power outage as well. Be sure to have plenty of food and water because you may potentially get snowed in out there as well. So, yeah, potentially a big time blizzard out there as well. And this system can also bring fire weather problems as well. This is the fire weather outlook for today. Got a critical risk area over parts of Nebraska, Kansas, Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. And then day 2, which is tomorrow, pretty much over some of the similar areas. And then day 3 and 4, same thing as well, pretty much over some of the same areas as well. So if you do live in the critical risk area, even in the elevated risk area as well, don't burn anything and definitely pay attention to them wildfires as well. Because this system here can also bring big time wildfire issues over some of these areas in here as well, especially over the next couple of days. But anyways, guys, that's all for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Guys, like this video, hit the like button. If you do like my channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notifications so you never miss an upload. If you guys have questions about this, put in the comment section down below. I'll answer you guys questions, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye and have a good day.